Hey everyone, welcome back to the Made for More podcast. This is a podcast designed to get you better, get you to be a better person, leader, team player, owner, entrepreneur, or just a better human being. Personal development and personal growth is vital to our life so that we don't become stagnant. So if you want to be a better person, you're definitely in the right place. This is why Made for More exists. The individual is going to get better, which in turn makes it a better team, a better family, or the world a better place. And it all starts with growth. Motivate, inspire, and encourage are our goals. Welcome to episode 196. My name's Mario, and I'm your host, and we're one step closer to episode 200. Today, we're going to be building on the last two episodes, 194 and 195. If you haven't listened to them, go check them out. You don't have to, but you won't understand maybe where we're headed with this episode. So they're a quick listen. Just go take a listen if you don't mind. Then you can jump right in with us on this episode. If you don't want to do that, like I said, it's okay. But I want to say thank you for listening wherever you're at. And with that said, if you are a first-time listener, I want to say thank you for wherever you're listening to us, whatever platform. Give us a follow on that platform. Rate us. Share this with us, with your people, with your influence if this helps, because I want to just, again, make people better. That is my life goal. That is my mission, to leave you better than when I first met you. So send us a message. I want to connect with you, hear where you're at, and how I can support you. And when I say that, let me say this. I do mean that. I know that sometimes when someone says, hey, let me know how I can help, or you're listening on the other side of this podcast, you're driving, or you're just listening wherever you listen to this, or you're watching on YouTube, you may say, does he really want me to reach out? Should I? What are they going to think? What is he really going to say? Does he really get back to people? Let me tell you this. Yes. Case in point, John Parks, a lifelong friend, Grace and John, his wife, Grace. He found our podcast. We have a few episodes with him, but he found our podcast because he was needing some help, and he listened, and then he finally reached out. He was in Bend, Oregon. I'm in Leander, Texas, and we connected. He flew out one time. Him and his family stayed with our family. We got to know each other. We're lifelong friends now. Same thing with Alan down in Louisiana. So reach out. Let me know how I can support you, because I want to. So as we get ready to dive into this episode, let me just recap really quick the episode 194 and 195. Well, last week we stepped into room one, and room one was the health room. We looked around and we asked the hard questions, and we left with one action. I don't like leaving the podcast or anytime I teach with multiple action items, because it's hard to focus on one area, or it's tough to decide which action items should I do. Should I take this challenge or that challenge? So last week we walked into this room. We said our life is made up of 8 areas, and it's like a house that you were just given, and there's 8 rooms, 8 areas of our lives. Last week we walked into the health room, and like I said, we asked these hard questions about our health. We left with one action, and it was this: just start renovating one wall. Start with one wall. You can't renovate the entire house, but you can renovate one wall. You can renovate one area in your life, and if it was health, pick one action item. And we said, start drinking water, waking up earlier, walking 10 minutes, walking 20 minutes, whatever it is. It's not about marathons, it's not about abs, it's just about moving the dial in the health area. So that was one area of the 8 that we talked about. And I want to share a story of a client who took the health action step seriously. They decided to start waking up earlier. That's it, just one thing, start waking up earlier. And every single day they did this, something shifted. Their energy, their mindset, their momentum going into the day. One small wall was beginning to get renovated, compounding every single day. Now, whether they want to take the next step in that, we'll figure it out. But here's where you win, is it's consistently doing something every single day. Something as small as waking up earlier. So that's one of my clients that I work with. And that's what one wall looks like in real life. One decision done consistently, and it changes the room, right? I don't know if you've ever renovated a room, but let's say you take everything off the wall, it's clean, or maybe you walk into a dusty room like this house that was given to us in this podcast, and it needs work. Well, you're going to dust it. And once you dust, it already looks different, right? And then you add a coat of paint or your primer, and you're like, wow, it looks different. So one action item is going to change the way something looks like. Same thing in our lives. One decision done consistently changes the room. So today we're going to walk into this next room. And I'm going to warn you now, this room is the room most people have been avoiding for quite some time. So as we get ready to walk into this room, I'm going to ask you and remind you that if you're listening to where you can close your eyes when we walk in just a second to visualize, go for it. If you're driving, don't worry about it. Just visualize the house that you're in. It's an old house that was given to you. There's a lot of land, but you're in the first room. It's downstairs to the left of a stairwell, and it's an open room. There is no door. You've been in there. That's where we started last week. And now we're about to walk to our second room. And this is where I want you to use that childlike imagination. So we're in this first room downstairs. And as we get ready to walk in today's room, again, I want you to visualize this. You're in the first room in the house and you're going to make your way to the second room. You walk out of that room, back into the walkway where you made it into the house, and the outside door's to your right, and you decide to go left and walk up the stairs. The house is a little old, it's dusty, so as you walk up the stairs, they creak a little bit, but you can see there are multiple rooms upstairs. This house has 8 rooms, and you can see the 8 different, you can see the 4 to 5 different doors, but there's this one main room upstairs, and as you get to the top of the stairs, you turn to your right, and you walk into a larger room. No door necessary. It's just like a game room, and this is the second room. This is the second room that we're going to walk into. Now, as we walk into this room, I have to let you know that this room has a wound. This room for me has a wound. And I want to share that with you because with 8 rooms in this house, some of us may have multiple rooms that have multiple wounds. It may have one wound. You may not have any wounds in your life when it comes to these 8 areas of our life. But this room for me comes with a wound. And I definitely want to explain that. But before, I just realized I did not tell you the 8 rooms. Last week we covered health. This week we're going to cover, here are the 8 rooms, and I'll tell you where we're going. It's health, finance, family, career, fun, environment, friends, and growth. There's 8 areas of our lives. And so many of our life choices and things that we do fall into these 8 areas. Health, finance, family, career, fun, environment, friends, and growth. And that's how I help my clients. That's how I step into their life and say, let's do this assessment and let's just see where you're at. And then we'll figure out what needs to be prioritized. So today, as we walk into this room, like I said, I just want to be honest with you. This room has a wound. It carries a wound in my life. And I want to explain that this room is the finance room. You see, I grew up not rich, probably, I wouldn't say poor, but my dad had his own business most of my childhood, I believe. And it was an irrigation business. And so in the summer, it's great, right? But then in the winter, things get tough. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. There was my older sister, me, my younger brother, and my younger sister. So it was 4 of us. We didn't have that much money. But I do, now that I'm on this side of it, I'm grateful for the way my parents handled things and the things they gave me and the things that I asked for that they provided me with. And so growing up, not having much money, I learned that when I was 3, I believe, I got hit by a drunk driver, my sister and I, my older sister and I almost passed away. Had a broken femur, a fractured skull, a jacked up shoulder, scarred up. My sister didn't get hit as bad as I did. I took the brunt of the hit. And my parents tell me the story about driving to the hospital and seeing a cop and having him turn on his lights to lead them there because I was in the back seat and I almost died. But that's not the whole reason for the story. That's not even the wound. You see, when I turned 18, the guy that had hit us got sued, so I had a lump sum of money waiting for me when I was 18. I'll never forget going to the bank, Wells Fargo, with my mom and having this check that most people make in 1 year, I made in 1 day. It was quite a bit of money. And in 6 months, get this, in 6 months, all that money was gone. I did some really good things with that money. I helped my parents. I helped some friends. I had just started going to a youth group where I met who my wife is now. And again, I did some really good things with that money. Funny story is some people thought that I was a drug dealer that didn't know me because they saw me in a new car, they saw me buying people's food, they saw me buying people's stuff, and they didn't know, right? Here's this 18-year-old with a new car, money, all this stuff. And so I did some good stuff with it, but it was gone in 6 months. And I had no idea how to manage money. And what this led to was more, so fast forward, the money's gone, right? What this led to though was more credit cards, overdrafting, and my need for money. It just grew. I was so used to having so much of it that I needed more of it. I hadn't done anything for that, right? I wasn't working. And I didn't, again, I grew accustomed to spending it, so I needed more is what I felt. So I went out and got more credit cards, overdrafted. I didn't have any idea what to do with money or how to prioritize it. And I didn't know what to do with it, like I said. So that wound right there, I lost and I lost. I spent all that money in 6 months. And I know some of you are gonna say hindsight's 2020. The amount really doesn't matter if I said it. But to me, that's a wound in my life. The way that I handled that money, because here it is, because it followed me. I'm living on my own. And I had a really, really, really good job living on my own. And I would come home with enough money in my bank account, but I would spend it all where I worked. There'd be overdraft statements, and my girlfriend at the time, or my fiance at the time, who is my wife now, would come in and say, hey, you have a really good job and you make a lot of money, so why do you keep overdrafting? And it was just because I wanted to spend it. I wanted to have what I wanted. And again, as a kid, these little things that I didn't have, I'd go after and say, hey, I want this. If I have the money, I'm gonna spend it. So living on my own, it followed me. My marriage, it followed me because I would go back to the overdrafting and not wanting to look at my account. So I let my wife just handle it all. I let her do the accounting, let her handle the budgeting if we had one. And even to this day, my relationship with money is tough. That experience affected me in a way in the way I think about money, right? So much so that until recently, I couldn't look at my bank account because I was afraid to face it, because what if I looked and there was a small amount there or nothing there? What if it was in the red? What if it was low? But I avoided it because it took me back to those feelings of when I was 18 of just blowing all that money and not knowing how to handle it. And I know that's just, it's weird, but check this out. It wasn't until recently that I decided to start looking at it every morning. I know, again, it may sound weird, but I just started looking at it every morning because I needed to be honest with myself. I needed to face that fear. And there was nothing to be afraid of, right? I'm working, depositing money, and there's this fear, though, that I had to face. And until recently, I had to just go, hey, I'm just going to look at this daily. You see, I was helping others. I was helping individuals. I was helping teams. I was coaching other people in this area, and I was avoiding what I was coaching. I was avoiding that in my life. I knew something needed to change. So one day I just decided to go, I need to grow in this area. I took the Made for More assessment. And I knew that I needed to move the dial in my finances and in my environment. And so when it came to finances, I said, what's one small step? Well, I had to be honest with myself where I was at and face it and just say, hey, I need to look at my account every morning, regardless of where it's at. That's one decision. Just looking. It didn't change the balance, right? Looking at my account did not change my balance, but it changed me. And that's where the renovation in this room began for me. It's small action, but it began for me. And like I said earlier with one of my clients that I'm working with, decided to start waking up earlier. It's consistently. I got to do this consistently. Now, here's where I need you to hear me out. That wound is still there sometimes. It's a scar that I can look at. Money is still something I have to be intentional and prioritize in my thoughts. Because if I don't, I can let my thoughts get away from me. I'm just being totally honest with you guys. This room is where I have to do work. But this room does not define me. This room does not define me. It doesn't define whether I'm going to help someone or not, right? Because I'm a coach. I'm a business coach, a life coach, and it does not affect and define who I am. But I do have to be intentional about my growth here. So let me ask you, as you're listening or you're watching here on YouTube, as you walk up these stairs in this house that was given to you, let me ask you this. Have you been avoiding this room? Is this a room that you like to ignore? Maybe you have all the money that you need, but you still ignore it. I've talked to several people that say, hey, I'm well off, I'm fine. I just don't look at my account. I don't know where that money's going. I don't even, and some people are so honest with me, they're like, I have enough. I just don't know where it's going. I haven't built a budget. I don't save. And that's okay. There's no judgment at all. I'm just asking, is this a room you would like to ignore? Or you have been ignoring? And again, I know I'm not the only one in this room, because I know there are the parents who are working so hard every single day, but not sure where the money goes at the end of the month. The business owner or the entrepreneur, right? Who is great at what they do, but they're terrified to look at the business account. Maybe there's the person who lets their spouse handle everything. That's who I was, because they don't want to deal with it, right? They don't want to see it. They don't want to do it. Out of sight, out of mind. Or the one who knows they should be saving, but they keep saying, I'll do it next month. And you just keep kicking that can down the road. I want you to know you're not alone. I'm not alone in this room. The room needs some work, but we have to be honest with ourselves. Now, some of you have this room in great shape. That's amazing. I know there's some people that are awesome at this. But even with a great room in shape, or a good room, I want to tell you there's always a way that you can improve for the future. Some things can be dusted, the pictures on the wall can be dusted, and the furniture can be rearranged. Maybe you need to budget more, maybe you need to, whatever it is, this room can get better. But maybe you haven't been avoiding it. Maybe you've done your work here. For those, though, that have been avoiding this room, there is no judgment at all. But we're here to walk into this room and begin our work today, the finance room. So if there's one thing that I want you to walk away with from this podcast that you're listening to or watching, this is it. Your finances do not determine who you are. Your finances do not determine who you are. Being rich is not about how much money you have in the bank. There are some of the most miserable people in the world that have millions in the bank account. And then there's some people that are most joyful people in the world, and they don't have much at all. I don't know if you've ever been to a third world country or a place that doesn't have much, and they're the most joyful people. And you leave their change rather than you helping them. They've helped you in your mindset. And then there's some really wealthy people who are really joyful. And then there's some poor people who don't have much that are angry. Again, it goes both ways, but it does not define who you are. Your finances do not define who you are. It's not about how much you have, right? It's about what you do with it. And that's called stewardship. So being a good steward means that you know what's coming in, you know what's leaving, you're intentional about where it goes, and you're building even if it's not much at all. It's the same thing with time. Time is a whole nother conversation that we can get into, prioritizing our time. But if you don't know what to do with your time, it's going to tell you, it's going to leave. It's the same thing with your money. If you just spend it, you don't know what's coming in, what's going out, you're going to get there at the end of the month and you're going to go, man, where did it go? So your finances don't define you. Your stewardship does. What you do with it does. So each week, we walk through the questions that I walk through with my clients, new clients. We do this twice a month. We're about to do this as an entire company with any and all of my clients. We're about to do these questions again. So last week we talked about the health room, and we went through the 7 questions that we ask, and we build this assessment. Today we're in the finance room, and I want to walk with you through the questions that we ask on our assessment. So think about the question, and I want you to score yourself 1 to 10. 1 means that it is not true at all, and 10 means it is completely true. 1 means it's not true, 10 means it's completely true. So score yourself on these questions. Let me ask them really quick as you're driving, or maybe you're sitting there, but you have something to write with, or you can put it in your phone, right, or your notes. Or you can take the assessment. I can send you the results on this cool scorecard that we have. But here's the score. Here's the question. Question number 1, remember 1 means it's not true, 10 means it's completely true. Number 1, I have a clear understanding of my current financial situation. Not what you wish, but what it actually is. Do you know your numbers? Do you know where you're at today? I have a clear understanding of my current financial situation. 1 means that's not true. Or 10 means, yeah, I do. That's completely true. 1 to 10, where would you rate yourself? Number 2, I consistently manage my money with intention, budgeting, tracking, and planning. Intention means on purpose. It means that I focus on this and I put purpose behind this, not by accident. It doesn't happen by accident, but I consistently manage my money with intention, like budgeting, tracking, and planning. So intention means on purpose, not by accident. So are you intentional, or does money just disappear? So answer yourself, score yourself 1 to 10. I consistently manage my money with intention, budgeting, tracking, and planning. 1, it's not true. 10, hey, I do this and it's completely true. Number 3, I feel confident in my ability to support myself financially. Confidence here it's not about having a lot, right? It's about knowing how you can handle what comes your way. So if you have a budget, or you know what's in your account, you know what's coming in and going, you're being a good steward. So I feel confident in my ability to support myself financially. 1 means that's not true, 10 means it's true. Number 4, my spending reflects my values and priorities. My spending reflects my values and priorities. 1 is not true, 10 is very true. And on this one, where your money is going tells a lot about what you actually value. Does your bank statement match your priorities? Is it always food? Is it always Amazon? Is it helping others? And again, spending is not bad, but it's consistently spending. Does my spending reflect my values and my priorities? 1, not true, 10, very true. Number 5, I'm actively building savings, investments, or financial security. I am actively building savings, investments, or financial security. 1 is not true, 10 is true, and actively right here is not one day, right? Not when things get better, but right now, are you building? And it's okay to say no. Again, no judgment. I'm just walking you through these things because when we face the truth, we get clarity, and then when we have clarity, we can make the change that we need to make. And this is all built on the things that that I help with as well. So number 5, I am actively building savings, investments, or financial security. 1 is not true, 10 is very true. Number 6, ready? I regularly think about and plan for my financial future. I regularly think about my plan and for my financial future. Sorry, I regularly think and plan for my financial future. The future belongs to those who plan it, right? If you don't have a plan, then you're just flying by the seat of your pants. And sometimes it happens, but I'm asking you, do you know where you want to go with your future? When's the last time that you sat down and thought about where you want to head in your financial area of your life? So 1, not true, 10 is true. I regularly think about and plan for my financial future. Number 7, I intentionally invest time and energy into improving my finances. I intentionally invest time and energy into improving my finances. Time and energy, not just money, but time and energy. Are you learning? Are you growing? Are you getting better at this in this room? 1 is not true, 10 is very true. And the last question that I usually ask is what would make your financials or your finance life, your room, a 10? I would ask you to write that down. Like, what would make this just push the envelope to being really, really good at finances? Because when you have that answer, you can begin to work backwards and go, let me just pick something to work on. That's the vision for the room, right? So what would make your finances a 10? Like, make a list of those things, because that's who you want to become. And you just start working your way backwards and saying, I can pick this one and do this. So those are the questions we ask. 1, not true at all. 10, it's very true. Now, before we keep going, I want to take a second, because everything we talk about on this podcast, every episode, every conversation, it all points to one thing. You were made for more. Not just to listen to podcasts about growth, but to actively experience it in your relationships, in your mindset, in your career, your purpose. And the truth is, most people don't know exactly where to start. They know something needs to change, but they can't put their finger on what. That's why I created the Made for More Assessment Scorecard. It's a free tool that evaluates 8 key areas of your life and shows you clearly where your biggest growth opportunities are. Once you complete it, you'll get a free 30-minute call with me personally. We'll look at your scorecard together, talk through where you are, and figure out the right next steps for you. There's no pressure, just a real conversation. You can find it in the podcast notes, or you can DM us the word free on Instagram, or you can text the word free to 512-983-9035. That's text the word free to 512-983-9035. And we'll send it right to you. Motivate, inspire, and encourage. That's why we are here, and we'd love to help you take that next step. Let's get back to the podcast. So now that we've walked into this room, you've looked around at the room, you've seen the questions in this area, it's time to challenge ourselves. It's the same challenge as last week. I want you to pick one wall. One wall. So here are the steps for this week. Are you ready? I got 3 steps for us. 3 simple steps. They're not challenges, they're 3 simple steps. You can pick one of these or you can do them all. But here are the steps. Step 1, just look. Just look. Open the bank app or download the bank app, right? And open the app, and this week, look at the account. No judgment, no spiraling, just awareness. Looking at your account. You and I cannot fix what we refuse to look at. You can't refuse. You cannot fix what you're not looking at. If you refuse to face it and look at it, then you're never going to fix it. It's just going to be there. Clarity and truth is the first act of renovating this room. You have to know the truth of where you're at. So step 1, just download the app to your bank account and just look at it. And for some of you, this is not an issue. You can stop the podcast now, or you can listen to the rest. Maybe encourage someone to listen to this that has this room and that you know that they need help. But step 1 is just look. Step 2, know your numbers. We're sitting at June 15th today. June 15th, or whenever you listen to this podcast. Go back to the first of whatever month you're in, but right now, go back to the 1st of June. Write down what has come in this month. What deposits have come in. Then write down what has gone out, or the total for what has gone out. Just getting it on paper or on your phone, on an app, maybe you have a budgeting app, that is working on the wall in this room. Most people do not do this. They do not do anything with their finances. They don't know what's coming in, what's going out. So step 1, just look. Step 2, know your numbers. And step 3 is this: pick one question. Here it is. This is the action step. Pick one of these questions and answer these. When you're spending money, number 1, is it smart to spend this? Is it smart to spend money on this? Number 2, am I saving? Am I saving anything at all? And I have a challenge for you in that, if you'd like an extra challenge here in a second. Another question to ask is, do I know where my money is going? Like, do you know? And I'm telling you, most of the time, I look at my bank account, I'm looking at the number because that's my step, right? But now the next step for me is to look at where it's going. Do I know where my money's going? Pick one of those that hits the hardest and focus on that question this week. Focus on it. Just look, know the numbers, and pick one question. So I want to throw an extra challenge in there, like I said just now, that I'm attempting to do. I'm going to do this. And it's just like the client of mine that begin to wake up early. I want to throw this small challenge at us. It's the $14 challenge. All you got to do is start building. Save $14 a week. That's $2 a day. So every day you wake up, or every day before you go to bed, or on your lunch break, find this specific time that you're going to stop, set your alarm and go, I'm going to put $2 in my savings account. You may go, what's $2? Or can I just put 14 that day? Well, if you're going to do it once a week, then put that same day, that same time, so that when you show up to that place, you know the action that you're taking is moving $14 into the savings account. Watch it build. That's the key, is to watch consistency build over time. And after a year, you'll have $728. It's not earth shattering, but it's showing us that small steps add up. Small renovations will make a big difference. $14 a day. 14 bucks a week. If you want to do more, do more. But I'm asking you to challenge yourself in this area, because most people don't. When you don't prioritize this part in your life, there's a reason that it's low on the score of your assessment, and you got to do something about it. Just like I did. I had to do something about it. So let me remind you as we wrap up. You don't have to be wealthy to be a good steward. You do not have to be wealthy to be a good steward. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to have every aspect of finances figured out. You don't have to be a CPA. You don't have to be a bookkeeper. You just have to be honest. Honest about where you are and where you want to go. Then be willing to take the first step. Your finances do not define you. Your finances and my finances do not define us. A low bank account doesn't make you less of a person, or less of a parent, or less of a leader or provider. But what you do with what you have, that reveals who you are. What you do with what you have does reveal with who you are. That is stewardship. So in closing, I want to remind you and myself that this is one of the 8 areas that we must go over in our lives at some point. And this is an area that I work on for myself, but also with clients. If this is an area that you have locked in and this room is set and it looks nice, then there's 7 other rooms that you can assess and work on. But my goal in working with you is growth, regardless of what room it is, regardless of what area it is. Growth is my key goal. So if you have yet to take the free Made for More assessment scorecard, it's free. Again, you can go to the podcast notes and click on Made for More assessment scorecard, or you can take out your phone wherever you're listening to this and text the word free to 512-983-9035. Text the word free to 512-983-9035, and you'll get the link to sign up and take the free assessment. So yeah, next week we're going to keep working through our blueprint and go to our next room. That's going to be upstairs. There's a few rooms upstairs that we saw as we walked up the steps, and we're going to walk into the first room. But this one has a door that you're going to have to put the key in and unlock. So thanks for listening wherever you're at, and let me know how I can help or how this helped. And always remember, you exist for more. You're here to offer more. Don't ever give up. Every single one of us are made for more. Later, guys.